On today's episode, we kick off Season 5 of World's Toughest Podcast with the president of Tough Mudder, Kyle McLaughlin.
This is the World's Toughest Podcast. Welcome to the World's Toughest Podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's World's Toughest Mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the World's Toughest Podcast.
Welcome back to World's Toughest Podcast. Thank you for listening. I am so glad to be back with you. You are listening to the number one rated obstacle course racing podcast in the world because of listeners like you. Thank you. What are you doing right now? Are you on a run? Are you driving your children to school? Doubtful, but maybe. How have you been? How was your Christmas? How is life other than, everything? Don't let me forget, we are giving away free stickers, and 2 people will also win a free pair of Gooder sunglasses. I don't know about you, but I am ready to get back out there. I'm ready to get back on a course. I'm ready to give some high fives. I am ready to get some leg cramps because I probably haven't been running enough, even though the Lord knows we've all had enough time. On today's show, Kyle McLaughlin, the president of Tough Mudder. It seems like it was 10 years ago, but do you remember when we were worried Tough Mudder was going out of business? That was a very real, a very legitimate concern. We don't need to get into the details of all of that right now, but you can go back to older episodes of the show if you really want to relive those days. But that was a thing. We asked each other, was 2019 the last World's Toughest Mudder ever? And then early 2020, Spartan came in and kind of saved the day. I say kind of. They saved the day. Spartan bought Tough Mudder, kit and caboodle, and we were all happy. And then, 5 minutes later, the entire world shut down. So, God bless Joe DeSena. He did the best thing in the world for Tough Mudder, saving them from bankruptcy and going out of business. And how does the world repay him? COVID. Shut down the world. Thanks for all you've done. Now, no races for you. 2020 was hard for Spartan and Tough Mudder. Spartan made some money selling apparel and equipment. Tough Mudder made some money with virtual events. But both companies, they had to furlough employees. They had to lay off employees. There's a saying that the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. Spartan calls it your North Star, I think. Tough Mudder, I don't know what Tough Mudder would call it. But what do you do with your company when you can't do the one reason you have for existing? If you can't hold those large OCR events with lots of people. I don't have any access to financial records, but I don't think it's a stretch to say this past year was difficult for Spartan and Tough Mudder. Joe DeSena, he has said it. He said, I am getting killed. 2020 will be a year you tell your kids about. I think 2021 will be also. 2020 was us getting knocked down. 2021 is the comeback story. And everyone likes a good comeback story. That's a long intro. And we didn't even talk about Kyle. Kyle has been on our show many times. We are always happy to welcome him back. Before we talk with Kyle, you can email me, will@theocrreport.com. You can text me at 619-485-2726. Don't call me. Text me. If you call me, it'll go to voicemail, and I check that about once every never. But you can text me anytime, 619-485-2726. And you can follow the show on Facebook and Instagram by searching for World's Toughest Podcast. As long as you are on Instagram, check out our main page, the OCR Report. and follow us there. The OCR Report on Instagram. And if you want more OCR content, check out our other OCR Report shows, Op Scoring Adventures, OCR Talk, OCR Coven, and the OCR Report. This interview with Kyle is part of a series of interviews with the CEOs of the race companies. I talked with Adrian Bijanata of the OCR World Championships over on the OCR Report podcast last week. Go check that out. Before we talk with Kyle, let's talk some news. But before we talk news, let's talk freebies. If you would like some 100% free World's Toughest Podcast and OCR Report stickers, text me the word stickers to 619-485-2726. Free stickers. Very cool. Text the word stickers to 619-485-2726. There's no contests. There's no enter to win. There's no like, share, follow, subscribe, tag your friends. I sent out a stack of these stickers about a week ago, and I would love to send out some more to some more other people. If I already gave you some free stickers, don't get greedy, all right? But if you don't have any yet, I would love to send them to you. Text stickers to 619-485-2726. If you would like to enter to win a free pair of Gooder running sunglasses, go to the OCR Report Instagram page at OCR Report. You can find the sunglasses post. You might have to scroll back a little bit. Follow us at the OCR Report, and then this is how you can, this is, if you want to do the whole tag, follow, subscribe thing, this is where you do it. Tag up to 5 friends. Every friend you tag is 1 entry. So you can get 5 entries. And then if you want 5 bonus entries, text the word glasses to me, 619-485-2726. If you want the whole backstory on the glasses and why I'm giving them away, go listen to the newest episode of the OCR Report podcast with Adrian Bijanata. I talk about it. The opening 5 or 10. These are my glasses. Like, I bought these. I'm not like, this isn't like a sponsored giveaway or anything with Gooder. Love Gooder. Big fan. This is not that. This is, I've got 2 pair of sunglasses that I need to do something with, and I can't give them to anyone else. So I'm going to give them to you. Now let's talk some news. As we look forward to the 2021 season, Tough Mudder has rolled out a few new virtual events. The Tough Mudder Equinox Ultra is on March 20th. It is a 12-hour virtual race with a 5-mile loop you design yourself near your home with obstacles after every lap. If you ran Virtual Toughest or Virtual World's Toughest last year, you'll be familiar with the format. The main difference between this 12-hour race and the Virtual Toughest Mudder last year is the Equinox Ultra will be 12 hours in the day instead of 12 hours at night. You can get more information on the Equinox Ultra at theocrreport.com and sign up at toughmudder.com. Another new virtual event from Tough Mudder this year is Tough Mudder Milestones. These are actually cool. There are 12 Tough Mudder milestones in 4 categories. These are year-long milestone objectives for you to reach, to work on, to kind of keep you motivated all year long. The 4 categories are stride, elevation, ride, and group. So, for example, the 3 stride milestones are 100 miles, 500 miles, and 1,000 miles. You have all year to run or walk or jog, whatever milestone you choose to sign up for. That's stride. The elevation milestones are Pyramid, Matterhorn, and Everest. To earn those milestones, you need to climb 6,000 feet. That's like elevation, like on your run, when you run in hills, or when you're on your treadmill. So for Pyramid, 6,000 feet and change, 14,000 feet for Matterhorn, and 29,000 feet for Everest. Those aren't exact numbers. They're kind of, 29 and blah, blah, 29,029, I think, for Everest. Just a heads up, the Everest milestones are much easier than the stride milestones. You can do the first Everest milestone, 6,000 feet, like in 2 workouts on a treadmill. And you can do the third one, Everest, 29,000 feet. You can do that in a month. There's no way you're running 1,000 miles in a month. There's no way I'm running 1,000 miles in a month. The third category of milestones is ride. That is riding your bike or your indoor bike, your Peloton, for 500, 2,500, or 5,000 miles. I have to be honest with you. I don't know if that's a lot of miles. I haven't ridden a bike since I went to a spin class with my wife, and I got destroyed. So those little old ladies were spinning without a care in the world while I was dying. So no thanks. I'm done with spin. The fourth and final milestone category is group. And these are cool. Your group, whoever that is, you choose, has their cumulative training stats added together to accomplish the milestone. And there's 3 group milestones you can choose to work on. There is Classic, 7 Summit, and Tour de Mud. Classic is 52,798 feet of elevation to climb together. That's kind of a random number, 52,798. What does that mean? It is 10 miles long, like the Tough Mudder Classic. That's why it's called the Classic, except it's vertical. So 52,798 feet of elevation for your group to do together. The second group milestone is 7 Summits, which is another elevation challenge. Your team must ascend 43,405 meters, or 142,404 feet over the year. That height is the height of the tallest mountain on each of these 7 continents. Here's the one I want to talk about. The third, and this is the last of the 12 milestones, the third group milestone is Tour de Mud. This is distance. You and your team must run or walk a combined 1,467 miles, which is a distance from the Tough Mudder venue in Dallas to the venue in LA. Okay, now, I did a little fact checking on this. As host of this podcast, I take my responsibilities seriously. It's time for another episode of WTPI. World's Toughest Podcast Investigates. The LA venue is located at 1401 Crane Canyon Road in Lubbock, California. The Dallas venue is at 881 Miller Road in Midlothian, Texas. Tough Mudder, the distance between the LA and Dallas venues is not 1,467 miles, but actually 1,455 miles. That is, of course, taking Interstate 40 through Amarillo and Albuquerque. But there is another way. You could take the 20 down through El Paso, up through Phoenix, but then you're at 1,502 miles, and it's a hotter drive. So 1455 the short way, or 1502 the long way. Where did Tough Mudder come up with 1467? Of course, 1467 is the average of the 2 routes. Except it's not. The average of the 2 routes is not 1467, but 1478. Will, I can hear you. Will, Tough Mudder said the distance between the 2 venues, not the highway travel distance, the actual distance, as the crow flies. Oh. Aren't you smart? I'm glad you brought that up. 1467 is the point-to-point distance. So I measured that. The actual distance as the crow flies between the Dallas and the LA venue is 1,261.19 miles. So what does that mean? It means you need to do what they said if you want to do the milestone, 1467. So 12 milestone options, the Equinox Ultra, and a third virtual event from Tough Mudder for 2021, the new Tough Mudder Challenges, brought to you by Marvel. These are the monthly-ish challenges they debuted in 2020. There will be 6 Marvel-themed challenges throughout the year, starting with the Avengers, followed by Deadpool, then Captain America. Have I ever told you the story about how I met Captain America? It was on Father's Day, probably 7 or 8 years ago. And I was at Disneyland with my son. He was probably 5 years old. My son, not Captain America. We waited in line to get a picture with Cap. And my son didn't really want one, but Captain America was super excited to see me. He was wearing the costume from the first movie where he's basically wearing that mask like over his eyes, kind of. He grabs my hand. Happy Father's Day, sir. Big smile on his face. I smile. We get a picture shaking hands like we just negotiated a peace deal and we were really excited about it. And then my son and I went and got a churro. Look, I didn't say it was a good story. So stay tuned for those Marvel challenges very soon. Toughmudder.com. Let's read some iTunes reviews.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
Our first review comes from Christina on Amazon. Christina writes, 5 stars. A great show full of useful information. Thanks, Christina. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words. A great show full of useful information. 7 words, and 2 of those words are 3 letters combined. That is the second shortest review we have ever received. Our shortest review was 3 words. It was more Tyler Nash. If you'd like to be a part of the show, like Christina, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts also. On your iPhone or Apple device, click the purple podcast button and search for World's Toughest Podcast. Click our logo and then scroll down to click Write a Review. If you don't have an Apple device, you can go to lovethepodcast.com/tough or go to Amazon like Christina did. Just pop it right in there. World's Toughest Podcast. Find us. That would be great. I will read it on a future episode. Kyle McLaughlin is the president of Tough Mudder and a friend of the show. He's been on multiple times. We are always happy to welcome him back. It's time to talk with Kyle McLaughlin. Let's go to the phones. Kyle McLaughlin is the CEO of Tough Mudder and was recently named the most popular CEO of Tough Mudder ever by a group of people I know on the internet. Kyle, welcome back to the show.
That's one hell of a popularity contest, Will. I'd like to think that that's a difficult one to win, but I'm guessing that as it may be a bit of a binary vote, I would hope that it was somewhat unanimous.
Well, the vote wasn't even close, if you're worried, but well done. It's been a minute since we've talked. How did you and your family hold up over 2020?
2020 was wild. If you think about where we were a year ago today, I was trying to look back at like what the ORM interview, the infamous ORM interview of the Tough Mudder saga from last year was. I think it was December 29th. So we're like a year and a week after that, and what a year it's been. But no, we're good. We just welcomed a new daughter to the family, so thanks. Family's great, but we've got an 9-day-old daughter. Chloe, who's been doing great. Mom and baby are feeling great. So, yeah, lots of new over here. We're pretty excited for 2021.
Kyle, congratulations. 8 days old.
Yeah, she's born on the 29th. So maybe we're up to 10 days old at this point, but new, fresh.
How's your sleep doing? I know that's the question everyone asks, but
look, working at Tough Mudder prepared me for not sleeping. So I'm a professional sleep deprived. I don't know what you'd call that. Training comes in many different forms.
It's all been training. How big is the McLaughlin clan now?
We are a clan of 4. So my oldest daughter, Madeline's 3.5, and Chloe's 10 days.
You mentioned how long we've come in the last year. I look back at you and I talked on March 2nd, and the headline of that podcast was Tough Mudder is back.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later is when everything started getting canceled. How was 2020 for Tough Mudder as a company?
Well, I mean, I hate to use like COVID overused terms here, Will, but like unprecedented seems to be the only thing that anybody can speak to these days. So I'm just going to go right for it. But
uncertain times.
Well, you think about not only the craziness coming into 2020, got over all of that. We're ready to go, putting the season back together. To your point, 10 days later, it was March 12th. It was that Friday that we were looking at it being like, well, you know what? We probably shouldn't have the team come back to the office next week. And then everything from there. I remember, the beginning of those conversations, right? We're like, we had Virginia in May. We're like, it's kind of on the fence. Like, will we get an event in May? We pushed it back a little bit later in the year. And then everything kind of started to be like, whoa, yeah, you know what? July, Twin Cities, not looking very good. And then it was like, whoa, the August, Chicago, not looking very good. And then it was like, ooh, world's toughest mudder, not going to happen. And crazy to think, I think how optimistic the world was in March that this is going to be 8 weeks and we'll be back to normal. And here we are sitting, 10 months later, and COVID has changed everything. But in many parts for us, COVID was challenging, of course, and tragic for many people across the country, but gave us a pause moment that we would have never had before. A chance to one, take a step back and look at the way we were doing everything, being part of the new Spartan family, being able to do some of the integration things we wanted to do, a lot of back end stuff that people will never see, but realize how complex it is to integrate IT systems and finance systems and, get my contracts look like your contracts and all that kind of stuff takes time that's really hard to do when you're delivering a full event calendar. But we had a lot of time to work on it this year. And a few really exciting things. Look, we pivoted the business. We built Challenges, a brand new digital product that we never would have done before. We brought all of our merchandise in-house. So we're operating our own merchandise business, and we've got big plans to grow that this year. We launched a new training program. We're actually doing real coach-led training. We'll be building that out over the course of this year. We're going to have World's Toughest Mudder training programs launching in February, stuff that we've always wanted to do and have never had the time or space to do it. And we were able to lay the groundwork for a return back to a full season with a pretty brand new approach to how we're actually going to deliver the events. We have completely overhauled every single obstacle going into next year. So every single obstacle you will see on course is going to be some of the very similar experience, but a brand new physical structure. We've built everything to be modular, a lot easier for us to build, a lot less wood splinters and 10 coats of paint and other things that you're used to seeing on Tough Mudder courses. Very sleek looking, everything kind of manufactured to design and go up real fast and come down real fast. So a project we've wanted to do for a long time that we never had enough downtime to actually do. So we're pretty excited about being able to come into 2021 pretty polished and ready to go.
It sounds like obviously none of us would have chosen the last 9 months, but it sounds like you guys are trying to you've made the most of it, and it'll end up being a win.
We certainly haven't been sitting around doing nothing, that's for sure. And look, I think working remote has been an interesting piece. We moved the whole Tough Mudder team to remote in March, and we never really looked back. And at this point, we've got no desire to go back to an office. Our team's done really, really well virtually, and they spread out across the country. So where everybody was kind of clustered in New York before, we've got team members who've moved to Colorado, who've moved to DC, who we've hired new people, kind of in all corners of the US. We've got people in Australia. So it's been a really nice, giving people a chance to go live their life, do their thing, still be a part of the team, a part of the family. And now events are going to be just as much, our team being together in person as it is, the community being together in person too.
And that Brooklyn real estate is not cheap. So
not cheap. Yeah. Happy to not have that bill to pay anymore.
What are your thoughts on the OCR industry as a whole going into 2021? How does everything shake out over the next 12 months?
Well, it's interesting, right? Speaking globally, we've seen, obviously Spartan and Tough Mudder are well positioned and, are in a pretty good place, solid footing to be able to, bounce back in 2021. I worry about a lot of the smaller operators, the mom and pop guys who are just hanging on. Terrain race has gone kind of dark, right? Disappeared. A lot of the UK, smaller obstacle course racing guys didn't make it through COVID. Rough Runner is in bankruptcy right now. A Tough Guy had, kind of ceased operations some time ago. So I think we're going to see the landscape change quite a bit. But I'm pretty optimistic about and very bullish on not just OCR, but running and endurance sports in general. You look at how many people have started running during COVID, or got a Peloton, got a treadmill, they're doing miles around their neighborhood. They're going to want an outlet to do that, and what better place to do it on than an event where, one, you can be naturally socially distanced, right? Like, I came from the world of major marathons where we packed 50,000 people into a real tight space and told them to go. You come to a Tough Mudder event, we start you in small groups of 150 people, and you can spread out on the course. And, if you don't want to touch anybody or see anybody, like, you can manage to do that. The Tough Mudder Spartan was designed for social distancing, and we're pretty confident about being able to get back to delivering those experiences pretty soon.
I've seen some non-social distance crowds like lining up behind Berlin walls, but you're right, you can avoid them if you want to.
Yeah, and we can tweak the model pretty easily to fix that, right? Like, whereas we can take a wave of 200 people and make it a wave of 100 people, which is what we're doing for the early part of next year. So right now we've got all of the waves capped to about 500 people an hour in the U.S. So, that's down from what was about 1,000 people an hour on the average, 2019 season event. So about 50% capacity, which will allow us to spread people out quite a bit more, a lot less density when you're, in the start corral with Sean, and then shouldn't have any lines on the course. And a lot of the new obstacle overhauls that we've done have been to fix a lot of those issues. Like, Mutterhorn, we had big challenges with in 2019. Some big queues, especially like LA, and a few of the other early season events. We've re-engineered the whole thing. It can now accommodate 3 times the amount of people that it did before. So there won't be the same kind of backlogs that we saw in some of those early season events in 2019.
5 years from now, do you think OCR will be bigger, smaller, or about the same as it is, or it was in 2019?
I think OCR is going to be more diversified than it was. And we're already seeing that, right? Like Hyrox and DECA, Fit coming in. Those are, you call them OCR, you call them functional fitness. It's a hybrid between the two. I think the non-traditional endurance sport, is going to continue to grow. People want to get out and do something that's more than just putting in thankless miles, on black pavement. They want to run trails. They want to mountain bike. They want to do, multi-sport events. They want to take on obstacle courses. So, that lifts on us to continue to develop new products and new experiences that, give people something else to do. And we've got a lot of things in the cooker that we're going to start to roll out in 2022 and beyond on new products, new event formats, and new ways that you can, still challenge yourself and push yourself, but, keeping the experience pretty fresh.
Let's talk about the 2021 Tough Mudder season. What is new for 2021?
What is new? So, in addition to an entirely new set of obstacles, right? And I speak on this, I think our Legionnaire community is going to appreciate this the best, right? Certain things that you have seen the same way for years are going to be redesigned in a way that the new customer is going to be like, oh, okay, pyramid scheme. The person who's done pyramid scheme 10 times is going to look at the new one and be like, holy shit, that is what an upgrade to that experience. So we're pretty excited about that. Obviously, the new obstacles that we were going to roll out in 2020 will be now on the 2021 course. So Castaway and Double Dipper, which is a kind of like the King of the Swingers meets Double Rainbow meets Leap of Faith mashup that we beta tested out in Vegas at the end of 2019, will be on the course next year. And then we've got some big and bold plans for the festival and the on-site experience. We're going to be adding a number of kind of components to the course that we'll be talking about and launching in the next couple of months as well. But we're keen to just get back to live events, and we're pretty optimistic about a lot of the early part of the season. I don't know if you saw yesterday, we had to push Tejon Ranch back to August. As your local friends in California will tell you. California is not approving a whole lot of anything at the moment, but moving back to August should give us enough kind of comfort cushion versus where we were in April. But things are looking really good for Atlanta and Missouri in April and May, and we're raring and ready to go. We're staffing up. We're doing a ton of hiring right now to kind of build out the Tough Mudder production team. All the while kind of launching a bunch of new digital challenges. You've seen a full new suite. We've got the Marvel Challenge series launching at the end of the month here as well. So we're busy.
All the coming soons on the calendar. I have the calendar from this year. I've had to make my own changes to it. All the coming soons have been resolved. There's dates and venues. And you mentioned that big one with LA getting pushed back, which has meant that Toughest Mudder Seattle will make its debut in 2021. Tell me about doing Toughest in Seattle.
Yeah, so we were looking at the Toughest calendar, and with Tejon Ranch moving back to August, had the Toughest West gone with it, it would have been the week before Toughest Central in Chicago. We know that a vast majority of the Toughest community likes to do multiples, and we looked at the registration. Over 80% of the people were signed up to do both of them, and figuring that doing a Toughest back-to-back was probably a less than desirable experience for most customers. We opted to move to Seattle. So, that Seattle course is one of my favorites that we've got. It is got some pretty interesting terrain. There's great mud there and some great features. Like, have you done that Seattle course before, Will?
I haven't. I've done Whistler, which is the closest one to there that I've done, but no, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, so the Seattle course it's got this pretty cool dramatic hill feature that we've actually done a rappel down before for the past couple years, which is going to be absolutely insane on the overnight. Some really thick kind of wood section and the deep, like black, thick mud, like the New Orleans style, rich mud that is just going to be a complete treat for a Toughest. But it'll be great for the Whistler crowd too, right? We had a Toughest in Whistler 4 years ago. And there's still a bunch of people in the kind of Pacific Northwest area who are keen to be able to get to a Toughest experience that they can drive to. So excited to bring it there. And then that'll give us Philly in May, Chicago in August, and Seattle in September. And then, Europe's Toughest in June in Midlands. So nice space out to the calendar, no overlaps. If people wanted to do all four, they definitely could.
We've talked about the calendar for 2021 a bit before, but tell me about some of the new venues you're going to be at this year.
Yeah, so Tejon Ranch, California, is a shift from the old, Lake Elsinore venue that we were in. We wanted to Lake Elsinore, great venue, but really flat, and kind of boring. Tejon's going to give us better elevation and a nice challenge out there. Spartan's been at that venue for a handful of years, so we scooped up that one from them. And that is, I'm trying to rack my brain here. That may be the only true new venue that is that's on the docket for next year. We will be back at Sonoma Speedway for NorCal. It hasn't been fully announced because we're just waiting on a piece of paperwork to come through yet, but that'll be August 28th and 29th. And that one's all set to go. But we are, all intents and purposes, the Poconos venue that we did shift. So Long Island, our venue, there's a county piece of property owned by the government. Due to kind of COVID, they're not issuing permits for next year, and we didn't want to take a chance. We negotiated with them for a while, so we moved that event to the Poconos, which is on the other side of the city. But we're actually back at Pocono Speedway, which was a venue 5 years ago, so 2015 and prior. So a nice throwback for people who are on the East Coast side of TM.
Usually the venue that hosts World's Toughest Mudder has a regular Tough Mudder 2 or 3 weeks before. This year, the regular Tough Mudder weekend in Laughlin will be 1 week after World's Toughest Mudder. Was that intentional or just kind of dictated by venue circumstances?
No, totally intentional. So we've wanted to do this for some time and trying to adjust the way that we approach the venues for Worlds. The downside to doing Worlds after a Tough Mudder weekend is that you get a course that's been used, right? So depending on how the weather's gone, we've seen it in Atlanta before, you get a course that's kind of torn up. You get obstacles that are already dirty, they're already muddy, that they've been had a little bit of love and wear and tear on them. So Worlds will now be a completely fresh course, never touched before. Worlds participants will be able to tackle it first, and then we'll be able to reset it for the next weekend. It also gives people coming to Worlds the chance, if they want, particularly our mudders coming over from the UK, if they want to come in and run Worlds, then stay and play in Vegas for a week, and then run a regular Tough Mudder weekend. We're going to throw those tickets in for free. So if you come and do Worlds, you stay and play for the week, and you want to come and do the regular Tough Mudder weekend at Laughlin, we're going to cover the tickets for that.
I can see that being a big part. It'll take like the community aspect of it and just kind of pack it in for another week. That'd be great.
Well, I mean, that McLaughlin area too, a new venue we're pretty excited about, but one close to Arizona, so you're right on the border of Arizona there, right on the Colorado River, but so many great things to do, like Lake Mead and getting to the Grand Canyon and, sights to see. Like if you wanted to come and make a week of it, it's a great jumping off point to do a whole lot down there in the Southwest.
I was a member of the Tough Mudder Challenges group on Facebook. It seemed like the challenges this past year brought in a large number of people that had never done an in-person Tough Mudder, but they wanted to do something like that during COVID. Are you seeing a lot of new regular Tough Mudder signups from the challenges?
Yeah, ton. And surprisingly, not just regular Tough Mudders as well, but we are actually sitting, Will, at the highest ever registration for World's Toughest Mudder at this point out that we have been in Tough Mudder's history. So, as of today, there are 954 people signed up for World's Toughest Mudder next year. We're sitting at those kind of numbers in like September or October, 2 months out, from Worlds. So highest ever. And a lot of those people, granted, were ones who had signed up for 2020 and had rolled over. But even still, and a lot of the people who, tackled World's Toughest Mudder virtual edition or lockdown edition, were people who'd never done Worlds before and got hooked on the experience, got hooked on the community, and have made the commitment to do the full thing. So, yeah, and that's really the beauty of challenges, right? Give people who wanted to try the Tough Mudder experience a way to do it that's, you can do from anywhere. And people who, got into that group have kind of fallen in love with the Tough Mudder community and decided that they're really going to go after it.
I have been beating the drum. I am convinced that once everyone's got their shots and everyone's back out, that people are aching to have like physical contact. Just, I
with
think
each other again. Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe the last half of this year, early 2022 is going to be like 2012, 2013 levels. I think it's going to be insane how many people want to be on a course or around other people again.
We're prepared for a big boom now, and we are ready for people to be rushing back to just being together, right? And I think I was telling this to the Tough Mudder team yesterday, and obviously it's been a challenging week in America, but the Tough Mudder mission and the Tough Mudder experience and what we stand for, right? At the end of the day, we get people to come run in the mud, and climb over walls and climb under barbed wire. And like, I don't want to pretend that we're curing cancer or solving all the world's problems here. But the mission and what we stand for, empowering people to change their lives, together as a team, is something we need more than ever right now, right? We don't need another experience to tell us that you're better than I am, or you're faster than I am, or you're fitter than I am. We need an experience that makes people do tough things together, right? And get over hard things together and figure out how to work together, and know that when you take a run at Everest and reach that hand up, that the person on the top of that wall is going to catch you regardless of what you look like or where you come from or what you believe in or the color of your skin or anything else.
You mentioned those virtual events. Is there any plan to continue doing like virtual events next year?
Yeah, so we've got a whole series of virtual events that we're going to be dropping throughout the year. So you've seen the first 5K that we've done, very basic, easy, get your year started 5K. Several thousand people, about 3,000 people so far have done that in the last 8 days. We are going to be dropping one that your listeners will love. It's going to launch in just about a week and a half, called the Equinox Ultra. So it will be done on Spring Equinox weekend, the March 20th, 21st weekend. It's going to be a daytime toughest style 12-hour event from sunrise to sunset on the Spring Equinox. So stay tuned for that one. There'll be a custom Equinox Ultra bib, as well as a coin and headband for that one. And we've got a couple other ones planned for the back end of the year. We're doing a Midsummer Night Mudder in the middle of probably late June. It'll be a murder mystery style virtual event. So you will, in addition to doing the running segments, you're going to have to solve clues, and based on which clue you pick will direct you to a different part of the course. You may get an easier or harder experience based on whether you're right or wrong. So we've got some really fun stuff in store.
That is a great idea. I can't wait to see how that plays out. I don't want to forget about the international crowd. Tell me what's going on with Tough Mudder Middle East.
Yeah, so Tough Mudder Middle East has been the only Tough Mudder events that have happened this year. And obviously there are a lot less issues with COVID in the Middle East, but we've got a great partner there We had Tough Mudder Egypt happen back in December. We did Tough Mudder Ras Al Khaimah, which is in the UAE, back in November, and we've got a handful more events in the UAE on deck for this year as well. So they're rocking and ready to go. It is a completely different experience to do a Tough Mudder in sand. So if anybody gets a chance to do it, I would highly encourage it. Running in sand is a much different experience, and trying to build obstacles in sand is an even more challenging experience. But they do a really great job there, and we will be back online with Tough Mudder Germany, launching in a couple of weeks here. So I have 2 or 3 German events up for the season. Tough Mudder Malta is actually up. So if you want an exotic island vacation, Tough Mudder Malta is live this year. And then, Australia and Malaysia, Singapore, a few other markets coming online as well as we dig out of COVID.
Right before we started talking, I texted my wife. I was like, "Hey, babe, have you ever been to Malta?" So we're going to see. That's in May, I think. So we're going to, I don't know. Negotiations are ongoing. I read something about South Africa. What other new countries will Tough Mudder be in this year?
So we had major kind of expansion lined up pre-COVID, and we are working with a number of those partners, depending on kind of their local restrictions as to when they're going to be able to get back online or not. So Australia is obviously not a new country for us, but we'll be back up and running. Malta is a new a country. Brazil will have their first ever. They were supposed to have theirs last year and then got pushed back to COVID, but Tough Mudder Brazil will be online this year as well. And then we've got major expansion underway in Asia. We're just kind of waiting for green lights on being able to get those up and running. South Korea, China, Malaysia, Singapore, the Philippines, all kind of in the works.
It's a long way away, but how is all that planning for World's Toughest McLaughlin coming?
Well, we are days away from launching travel packages. So we've been working with the hotels and pulling together some great kind of stay and play packages, casino deals, et cetera. So those will be going out within the next week or so here. Amazingly, Will, we are almost at the 300-day mark. I think next week is 300 days from World's McLaughlin. So the clock is ticking. But we're in a pretty good spot. We've been working on ordering all of the stuff. So bibs and medals and shirts are all in production right now. And we'll be debuting and featuring some of that in February.
Let's say we do Laughlin for 2 or 3 years, for I don't know how long, but attendance is great. People come from all over the world to run World's Toughest Mudder. What are the odds of World's Toughest traveling outside the U.S. someday?
It's something we've talked about quite a bit. I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't see us doing it in the very near future. That being said, though, don't be surprised if you see us do some other destination events in Tough Mudder countries around the world that are unique, only happen one time a year, one place type of things. So we've got a few things in development that you might see winter 21-22 in Europe that I think U.S. customers may want to jump onto.
I haven't made it to Toughest UK yet, but I did Toughest Berlin a couple years ago. Great experience. Totally different, but similar, but totally different than the U.S. So those will be exciting. Toughest
UK is probably my favorite toughest venue. And certainly that UK community does it right. And they know how to do a world's toughest event. And when we rolled into the longer format last year with the big, built out pit, just what an experience, but they get a good turnout for it, close to 800, 900 people. And that course is pretty incredible. It's on an old piece of like royal estate land called Belvoir Castle, and just rolling hills and crazy swamps and bogs, and it's a great place to run a toughest course.
Kyle, any last thoughts on Tough Mudder 2021 or the year ahead for the sport?
Just that, we're ready. And the one thing is that if I can encourage anybody who's listening to pay attention to is that we've done a lot of work to change some of the processes on the Tough Mudder side in the off season. Being able to select your own start time is one of the big ones. We've been trying to get to that for years, and it took a bunch of downtime to be able to really get the mechanics behind figuring it out. But Will, believe it or not, start times are selling out for next year already. So if you go and look at like Twin Cities or Atlanta, there are already a number of start times completely sold out on Saturday mornings. So if you're on the fence about, do I get my Tough Mudder ticket now or later, talk to your group and your crew, because the times you want may not be there when you get there. And we hope to be able to open up bigger wave sizes at some of the later events in the season, but obviously we're going to do whatever it takes to keep people safe.
You can sign up for World's Toughest Mudder and all the other events we talked about at toughmudder.com, toughmudder.co.uk. Kyle McLaughlin, thanks much.
Thanks, Will.
Special thanks to Kyle McLaughlin for appearing on today's show. Well done, Kyle. Come back anytime. You have homework. 3 things. 1, text me at 619-485-2726 for stickers and glasses. Text me those 2 words. Number 2, follow the OCR report on Instagram and tag your friends in the glasses post. And number 3, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Send me a text when you did all your homework, and I'll give you a high five. I will talk with you soon. Go spend time with someone you love. So I went through I've been trying to Marie Kondo my closet, and I had literally a box of headbands. And I was like, ugh. And so I'm like, I'll keep one of each color, and then like.
Wait. You're gonna tell me that a box of headbands doesn't bring you joy?
It does, but like okay. So here's what really brings me joy. My very first. This is nothing to do with anything. My very first World's Toughest Mudder headband. When I got that first headband, I wore it at every Tough Mudder event I did after that. Right. So if you look at my very first headband, it is stretched, and like all my other World's Toughest headbands are like, I've worn them once, maybe twice, but that first one is stretched. I see that. It's been through so many Arctic enemas and so like around my neck for slides and jumps, and anyway.